So welcome to one and all this evening. Really happy to have you all here. And we have the special privilege of the prepared presentation of Yana Bauer, who is a lead mentor on Manitoulin Metal, Team 6865 in Michigan on Manitoulin Island in Northern Ontario. And she's put together some thoughts for us about gracious professionalism. And we're really looking forward to hearing from Yana. And I'm sure there'll be some time afterwards for some interaction and discussion. So thank you so much to Yana for joining us. And we'll be really looking forward to your presentation.
Perfect. Thanks. Hi, everyone. It's great to see you. Hi, John.
Hi.
Nice to see you again. I'm very honored to be doing this. I have some big shoes to fill. Last year, Karthik did an incredible job of this presentation that I got to be a part of, and it's online if anybody wants to check out Karthik's take on gracious professionalism and mentorship. So I'm going to get started. In case you don't know me, I am not the typical lead mentor by any stretch of the imagination. I am an English teacher of 30 years and mother of four first alum. I was the first of the first and became a mentor on when my colleague Alan Davey decided, why not? Let's try it, and started the FRC 6865 team and asked if anyone would be interested in helping as a mentor for organizational pieces, which is kind of my superpower. So I said, sure, I'll help. And why not? I'm always game. So I was a mentor when the team started, and then my oldest daughter joined, and subsequently my next daughter joined, and then my son joined, and now I have one more, my baby. He's going into grade 11, and I expect he will be a significant part of our team for the next couple of years. And I'm also a beekeeper, a writer. I produce our school musicals. I'm a runner, like a streaking runner, like something like 2,000 consecutive days of running, even during competition season. Somehow try to fit in a 2 kilometer run minimally. I was very honored to win the Woody Flowers finalist award for the Ontario region, and I'm a lifelong learner, and that's what brought me here. Is I'm always interested in learning. So my hope is today that we will learn about some more from each other and about gracious professionalism, because it lets us be better competitors and friends and community members. And I know that we've all experienced that in some form already as part of our first journey. So the idea of gracious professionalism is defined. There's a very explicit definition of gracious professionalism that I think is kind of vague, really, but it basically translates to the idea that we are going to compete intensely while also trying to teach youth as mentors and model as mentors respect and kindness, and recognize that success and respect are not mutually exclusive, that we can win and we can be triumph at competition and still be respectful and kind. And it's about finding that balance between that fierce competition and that idea of mutually gaining knowledge and empathy, and that those are all can be blended together. So when we talk about gracious professionalism, is a term that's coined by Woody Flowers, and the idea of gracious professionalism to me thinks about the strength and sweetness of a honeycomb. It's both. It's strong. It's a engineering feat, the honeycomb, and it also is very sweet, and it can also hurt, as I've been stung many a times. And so the sting is still part of it. There's definitely very a lot of power in the idea of gracious professionalism as competition goes as well on the field. And there's a lot of power in the support in the pits and in video calls and Zoom meets and seminars and all the other ways that people can access support nowadays. And so Woody Flowers championed the idea of expertise plus respect plus empathy and lifting others up while you do your best. And it embodies so many of the first core values and the idea of cooperation as well. And so it's kind of a perfect term to define all of those beautiful concepts that drew many of us to FIRST as mentors. And so the different things that revolve around gracious professionalism are things like respect and empathy and teamwork and humility and positive energy and, of course, learning. And as a team, 6865, we try to live these values at every competition, at every event, off-season, outreach, and in-season competitions. For example, in North Bay, we helped team 10-4-6-4 this past year, the Wash, troubleshoot code issues, and then cheered wildly when they won the Rookie All-Star Award. And I don't think they were even there to receive it, but we were cheering for them. And in McMaster, we gave a rookie team, steel bars for ballast, which helped them after they had played in the matches as on our alliance, and they were being pushed around and weren't able to do a lot of good defense. So we gave them some ballast after that match, and then they defended very, very effectively against us in the next few matches we faced them. So that's all part of that culture that's normalized in FIRST. And we cheer louder for other teams than for ourselves when they do well, and we've been a part of even a small part of their success and small part of their accomplishments on or off the field. And because we're building allies, not just alliances, and those allies, we see each other at the next event, and those allies are allies beyond robotics, beyond the competition. So gracious professionalism and cooperation are definitely actions. They're not just, even though they sometimes they get a lot of, the terms get thrown around and used as significant representations of the FIRST culture, but more significantly, they're actions. They're actions like fixing bots together with other teams, either your own or others. It's sharing strategies of what's worked in the past matches and what hasn't worked, even with your competitors. It's offering training to other teams when they have skills that they lack and that your team has expertise or even a little bit more knowledge in. It's loaning tools, again, in competition or in the off season. And it's celebrating others and their successes. And it's not just about big flashy moments and big flashy actions. It's quiet acts of kindness that maybe nobody hears about, like seeing a robot fall off a hanger, for example, and quietly offering help to the pit team. It's bringing lumber to 4039 when they broke a bumper 2 years ago. It's seeing a number of peeling off of robots as it's being delivered, as it's being brought to load in, and meeting that team at their pit with a heat gun and helping 288 put their numbers back on their bumpers. And sometimes it is big and flashy moments. Sometimes gracious professionalism and cooperation means you're giving something that you need, but someone else needs more. And we once gave a full climber to a rookie team who had run out of time during their build season. And then when they got their first hang, we cheered like crazy because for them, that was something they never thought they'd accomplished in that year. And that was their first climb points of the season. So that was really exciting. And we hear stories like that all the time. I'm sure you have stories where people have loaned you or given you things without, without even batting an eye. Like, what do you need? And here you go. Here's the piece. And that's those things are so normalized in the first community. We and gracious professionalism isn't just during competition, it's year round. So we all benefit from the fact that our community is so generous with sharing CAD and code and docs for build, for technical expertise, for business, for outreach, for project planning, for team management. All of those things are shared openly and willingly and eagerly by the teams that have been around for a long time, but also by brand new teams who just are so happy to be able to give something back. And the Manitoulin Medal, we were very excited to be able to share some of our documentation and code and videos and seminars and project files online because of where we live. That's the most reasonable way for us to share so that the most people can access it, so that others can build better, more sustainable programs and robots. And we try to pay forward all the support we received over the years, from 1305 Ice Cubed or 5672 our neighbors, First Nations STEM, or 4069 Llewellyn, when we would go over and bring our robots because we couldn't figure out our first swerve drive last year and we needed their help. And just somebody to take a look and brainstorm with us, or 4039 Makeshift Robotics, which shared with us their practice field and Celtech's practice field when we stayed in Hamilton for a day between provincials and our final events, and being great hosts and helping us get our auto improved, and just being generous with their attitude towards helping us. Even though we weren't a rookie team at that point, we were just growing. Every year we're kind of rookies in some area or other. So sharing that kind of material is part of the gracious professionalism all year. And helping mentor rookie teams is as more experienced mentors that come around and offer to support a rookie team because their team seemingly runs on its own and doesn't need their hands-on help, or doesn't need help from everyone all the time. So that's part of the year-round gracious professionalism that we're so grateful for. Gracious professionalism matters because it makes everything better. It makes stronger teams. The teams that are offering help are stronger. The teams that are receiving the help are stronger. It makes our programs deeper. It helps us have a bigger impact in our community and in the world. It makes robotics more fun. Kids make friends that they continue to be friends with in post-secondary and beyond, and become friends when they're mentoring teams in the future. And ultimately, it makes our world a better place. It means that if we can have all kids learn gracious professionalism one way or another, whether it's in robotics or some other extracurricular or curricular activity, it means our world will be a more peaceful, more cooperative place that will help solve problems together rather than trying to compete in ways that pull others down. And it's not about the trophy. It's about how many people you brought with you on the way. And there's a line of that for me was incredible when we forgot our charger for our batteries, and so a team gave us a battery and a charger, their charger, not a spare charger, just their charger, and said, "We can just share it. When you guys charge your batteries, just give it back." And loaned us a better controller that because ours was unreliable. Or um, Roland from 1325 when we unexpectedly qualified. We get emotional. We do that sometimes. Um, we unexpectedly qualified for Worlds 3 years ago, and Roland from Inverse Paradox offered us their extra rooms, drove us to the venue from the hotel every day, and made it possible, really, for us to go to Worlds in so many ways. And his his team, his whole team was just their gracious professionalism changed the lives for so many students on Manitoulin, not just the ones that were there at Worlds, but so many students that have come since. So when you think about gracious professionalism, you want to ask your students who they will lift up at their next event or at their next outreach, what legacy they want to leave, how they're going to use gracious professionalism and make the world just a little bit more sweet. And I have some scenarios for us to think about. So, one of the things that as a team, when we talk about um, gracious professionalism, is how to teach it. And it's such a normalized thing, but they can be explicitly taught. I'm a teacher, so I explicitly teach. And so being able to teach, we not just are not only modeling and explicitly teaching uh, the strategies, but we use scenarios and we try to build discussions where students in pairs can talk through scenarios and then share the various options, choices, and the reasons, the rationale for why they chose what they did. And that's part of when they practice that, when they and imagine these scenarios, that when things like that actually happen, they don't hesitate. They just do the thing it's the right thing, and they know that it's the right thing, and they know why they're doing that thing. So here's the one scenario that we use. So what would you do? Your opponent's arm just snapped. You have a spare part. Do you A, ask if you can help, B, offer the part, or C, help install it? And for my team, for Manitoulin Metal, we always choose B or C. And in our 8 years of competing, we've determined, we've noticed that even if um, we offer to help, our A, ask if you can help, we are much more likely to be accepted as helpers if we have a tangible part in our hand over just words. So if we come in with some tools, if we come in with some parts, we are much more likely to be. Other teams are more willing. They know you mean it. You're not just saying words. They know you mean I want to help, and so we ask the students what would they do, and all of those options are valid. And so just the conversation and imagining and talking about why they might choose A, or why they might choose B, or why they might choose C, or why they wouldn't choose to do so one of those. And those are always very rich conversations. And it's also part of training young or new mentors as well, as to thinking through these scenarios. So you can imagine, what would your team do in that situation? I have a couple of scenarios for us. It's finals too. And the other team, they have a robot that's not functional. So you're in the finals, one of your opponent's robots has died, and they identify it's a radio issue. So what do you do? So do you use your 15 minutes between matches to help them? Do you let them take the L or activate the backup bot, or do you offer your spare radio? And this really happens. Teams do break down at the worst times. We have Ontario teams that have experienced that in the worst situations. And so helping other alliances perform better against you in the finals is the ultimate act of gracious professionalism. And asking students what would they do in that situation it's tough. When there were still timeouts, before the double elimination revamp, but when there were still timeouts and we were just a young team in first, we saw a team call a timeout for another alliance that needed more time to repair. They used their timeout for another alliance to be able to have more time to prepare robot. And the whole arena buzzed with respect. That's when we as a team really understood gracious professionalism and how first was so very special. Judges, on other scenarios, it's not just on the field. So the judges ask about another team. Your students are in a judged award and interviewing, and the judges mention another team's cool idea, and it's one that maybe your team actually helped develop. So what do? Do you stay quiet and let them get the credit? Do you clarify your contributions and role, or do you complement their implementation? And judges awards get really sticky. Kids work really hard on judged awards and it's a really intense situation. So it's tempting to clarify and take the credit, and it's correcting the record, and it's not wrong. But gracious professionalism does mean lifting up others. So that's a conversation where students can talk through and share their options and their choices and their rationale for why they would choose and how they might do it. And an example might be for our team, we always, as part of our essays, part of our presentations, part of our interviews, it's a part of our values that we include compliments and celebrate other teams in our presentations and essays and interviews. And those teams are often competing against us for impact or EI or whatever. We don't take credit. We just cheer for these amazing partnerships and their amazing accomplishments. So you can instill this kind of value while still encouraging fierce competition, because it makes you better and makes the whole competition better. So when you do win, it's all the more sweet. Another one last scenario here, I think. So online is a reality for our kids and for our world, and we're not the only ones dealing with it. I have, oh, I somehow got messed up here. So we have a scenario where you're scrolling through Discord or Reddit or Facebook and your kid or Instagram, and someone has posted something that is incorrect or trash talks a teammate or criticizes another team. So do you report the post to moderators, correct them publicly, message them privately, or express a concern to a mentor? Somehow my C disappeared there. And that conversation is a reality in all aspects of our world now, not just in first, but we can channel the experiences of first to help kids process this information and what they would do and why, and what the benefits are of each of the different choices and what the drawbacks of each of them. So as mentors, we are models for that, for our kids and for the hive. We're like the queen bees of the hive. So there's a really great blog that Karthik talked about, Colin Foltz's, about the role of mentors in FIRST Robotics and how it's evolving and changing. So I highly recommend checking that out. And I can post a link to it after I'm done. And Karthik last year talked about the importance as mentors, how we can encourage gracious professionalism by being deliberate in modeling and demonstrating gracious professionalism and helping students recognize it, like actually naming it when we see it, because the kids might not recognize that's that warm feeling that they're seeing, or that wow they're experiencing is gracious professionalism, and that's what they want to notice. In addition, as a teacher, I know that anything that we recognize, celebrate, and evaluate is what we're going to encourage in learning models. So it could be part of the debriefs of a team of how did we demonstrate gracious professionalism. It could be celebrating at the end of a competition, a gracious professionalism award for to another team or for someone within the team, or at the end of a season, and recognizing the importance of it. I know when I got Mark Bredner gave me a gracious professionalism pin at Provincials, and I'm I was so, moved, and like it meant so much. It's this tiny little pin, and I put it on and I thought, yeah, like that is something I'm so proud of. In addition to everything else that is happening around me, that little pin represented, oh yeah, this is why we do things. And from impromptu pneumatics lessons to debrief circles with rookies, we also have a role to help mentor other teams who are earlier on in the journey, how to handle how to handle gracious professionalism, how they can give back, and how to handle tough moments with grace, how when things don't go well, and how to handle that. So we as mentors can process that a little bit ourselves, and then model it and talk about it openly with our team. So a couple of scenarios that when we train new mentors, are these are some things, or even captains, when we train captains and leads in our team, student leads. So constructive feedback scenario we use: a mentee consistently misses deadlines, a mentor needs to address this, but also there's underlying reasons that might be affecting personal issues or school workload issues. So teaching leads on the team or mentors on the team to use a feedback sandwich, talking about positive, giving the feedback for improvement, and then ending with positive, so that it's focused on the mentee growing rather than feeling bad, and using active listening and expressing concern for the mentee's well-being first and foremost, more than the team. And by learning to deliver feedback in a way that's both direct and compassionate, we foster a safe space for growth for our kids and model gracious professionalism. And in competition, we talk about that because, especially with our youth mentors, they are very competitive. So, modeling gracious professionalism in competition, we experience setbacks. Things don't work, things break down. Um, we have disappointing bosses, and or we have matchups that are difficult, and we don't aren't ranked as well as we'd like to be, or we don't win something that we had worked really hard to win. And so the gracious professionalism approach is ask the mentor to demonstrate graciousness by acknowledging other teams' strengths, congratulating other teams, and focusing on the learning experience rather than dwelling on the loss. Because as mentors, we model how to handle both victory and defeat with humility and respect. Um, One of the things that happened during the COVID, we're at home learning, and a lot of isolation was happening. So first developed this like gracious professionalism check-in resource, and it was a template for meetings that coaches or teachers or mentors can use with students to make sure everyone's okay, and that their ideas can be heard even when we weren't in person. And they're meant to be intentional to keep students connected with the first family when we weren't able to meet. But those GP check-ins are amazing and practices that are great for in person as well. They're intentional, they're one-on-one with the mentor and a mentee conversation. It builds connection instead of pressure, and you listen more than you speak, and it celebrates each of your kids' contributions. And if you split that up between the mentors on the team, it's not so onerous and it can be done fairly regularly. Um, there's some questions that first had, there's a whole bunch more, but these are some examples, some of the questions to have like a green GP check-in conversation with kids. So it was things like, what's something new you've learned? Or what's a creative way you've solved a problem? And asking the kids, if you were the mentor, what's one thing you would change? And inclusiveness, talking about how can we make others feel more welcome? Or what is a goal for you, um, for that for our team, not for yourself, but for the team? What's a goal you have for the team this year? And finally, something fun, like what's if you could have a performance, a concert in your home, who would you want performing? And having that conversation as well. And so and there's lots of other questions in that resource as well. So sometimes we get so focused on hardware, we forget that we have so many humans. So not every conversation needs to be about CAD or about CAN buses. We can use questions like this to spark reflection and connection, and make the kids feel like we're with them as people. Uh, they're short and they're intentional conversations. They build trust and they invite student voice and show that we care about them as people more than we care about the performance. Manitoulin Metal has held uh, these kinds of check-ins at outreach events, at competition, during stressful build weeks. We could do more of them. It helps kids feel seen and heard. It improves retention, and their families notice improved mental health. Start by setting a safe tone, asking how kids are doing, what motivates them, and listen with empathy and understanding. It's not about trying to fix anything, even though we're fixers. We listening is something that the kids really is what they need. It's less being called to the principal's office and more being called to the queen bee's tea party in my house or in my team. And they're usually fairly short. Taking a kid out of a build night for a few minutes to talk, and it helps them feel like they have choice in shaping their relationship on the team. And if kids don't feel like talking, which sometimes they don't, then gives us a chance to share something meaningful we've noticed about them, or about their accomplishments, or about our own experiences that we think might help them, and demonstrate compassion about the challenges that the kids might be experiencing, because we often know more than they think we know. Let's see what's next here. We have GP beyond First Hive. So Karthik talked about that lots too, and lots of you know that gracious professionalism is not just about robotics. It helps in every aspect of our lives and the kids' lives and in their futures. So school, helping classmates and other groups within the school and also within the first community. Kids help each other. They connect with people on other teams, and they help each other with schoolwork and projects and ideas. It's gracious professionalism applies in sports. They congratulating rivals, celebrating rival success, and and being relieved when rivals are get up after they've fallen down. In the workplace, it's a think win-win attitude, which is going to improve customer relations and lead to better success in the workplace. And in the community, it's volunteering to make the world better in many, many ways. It's not a pit only policy. In other words, it's a mindset for all of life. So 6865 is the kids volunteer, for example, with elders and community members, teaching them how to use their cell phones or iPads, and how to connect with family, and how to take pictures and videos and so on. And it's helpful to the community, and it makes the community feel like a part of our team, and they become our biggest cheerleaders. And cleaning up the shoreline. We are a team that lives in a beautiful place, and we want to keep that place pristine. And so, spending time outdoors, appreciating the green spaces, and promoting others to get involved, leading school green activities. Or it could be something like promoting and supporting the school powwow by loaning them our canopy from our pit, and our table, and showing up in our own team regalia, and joining in the intertribal dances, so that we're part of that bigger community. And of course, we are a part of a large hive. We have so many different ways we can get involved and get support and give support. So joining the Slack group if you're not in it, and Ontario First Team support, and joining and contributing to Chief Delphi. There's so many resources there. Email me. There's my email address. So if I don't know the answer, I'll find a way to I'll find someone who does, or I'll connect you with people who do. And if you know of other networks that you're connected to, share those networks with others, because the bigger the hive, the stronger it'll be. Mentor Jay Graying, who's from Ontario, once wrote, "It's a competition. So unless your team is named after an orange crunchy snack, there will be teams that are performing better than you, and there will be teams that are performing more poorly, sometimes much more poorly. So being GP means we treat all those teams, those that are stronger than us, those that are struggling, with equal respect, and offer and celebrate everybody." And so that brings me to the end of my presentation. I am eager to hear questions. If you have any stories about gracious professionalism that you would like to share, I'd love to hear that. And I think I can turn that back over to you, William.
Thank you so much, Yana. Some really great anecdotes and stories and approaches and techniques to really keep gracious professionalism at the forefront. So it would be really great to hear from the rest of the group here. Any thoughts or reflections on gracious professionalism? And it would be really great also if you might be able to share your slideshow at some point. Is that something you might share with us? Yeah.
Absolutely. I will share that right now as we chat.
So I'd love to hear from the rest of the group. I think just a few brief comments. There are many STEM programs out there, and there are very few that focus on human qualities as one of the core elements of the program. And that's what's really special about FIRST. From kindergarten through to grade 12, we have a systematic development of human qualities. And gracious professionalism is one of these key qualities that results in a whole lot of other human qualities, as was shared with through Yana's presentation. So with that in mind, please feel most welcome to jump in the conversation, offer some reflections or suggestions or anecdotes, whatever comes to mind.
And if no one has anything jumping off the top, oh, Tracy does. Awesome. I was just going to say, like, I can have some questions. I'd love ideas from people about, but Tracy, please.
Sure. Hi, I'm from 4039, and it's I just finished my first year as a teacher mentor. So similar to you, I'm an English teacher, teacher librarian as well. I just really liked your presentation. I really appreciated the different suggestions that you had. I especially liked when you said if there's conflict within students, how to handle that, because I know it from the teacher point of view, but hearing it related to gracious professionalism was very helpful, because sometimes I have to remember I have to take off my teacher hat and put on a different mentor hat when I'm working with the kids. Especially when we had, like, I was brand new and the other teacher mentor, he's been doing it forever. So our team wasn't quite sure what to think at first. They're like, who is this lady and why is she here? And so it took me a long time to earn the respect of the kids and for them to see me more than just their school teacher librarian. So I really enjoyed your presentation. So thank you very much. You've given me a lot to think about moving forward into our next season. So thank you very much.
That's awesome, Tracy. I'm so glad to hear that you had that you enjoyed it, but also that thank you for stepping in. It's not easy, and I'm curious what brought you in.
Actually, a parent asked me from our community. I was part of this group called Kids for Kaga that were Twin City with Dundas in Ontario. And I spent 3 weeks with this parent as a fellow chaperone, and he said to me after his children go to my school that you should go out for robotics. And I kind of looked at him and said, I like, what? I'm not a STEM teacher. He saw something in me that I obviously didn't see in myself. And I so glad I did. I haven't looked back, and I completely love 4039. They're the most welcoming team, amazing mentors, and the kids are incredible. So yeah, did not think I'd be a robotics advisor, 20 plus years teaching, but I finally found my niche and I totally love it.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone? Yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, Matt, go ahead, please.
Hi, Yana. It's Matt from 4039. And just to follow up with Tracy, Tracy's been wonderful to add to the team. And for other teams that are listening in tonight and wondering about finding mentors in the community or at their school, they're there. Sometimes you just have to approach them, let them know about the team, maybe get them out to a meeting, and there's lots of opportunity for people to get involved that are, the program is about more than robots, right? So the mentors need to be about more than robots. And as your presentation described it, first is what makes it special to me is the gracious professionalism part. There are other, as William said, there are other robotics programs out there, but they don't focus on the life skills that the kids can take away. And for me as a mentor, this is probably more important than the technical skills that the kids will leave the team with, for them to experience and understand that we can build each other up rather than tearing each other down applies in so many different areas of their life. That's the thing I think that hopefully they will take forward with them and help the world to be a better place. And as mentors, to have a small part in leading them on that path is very gratifying. And I think it's good that we're having this discussion first in gracious professionalism. I'm sorry I missed the first few minutes, but maybe it was described where that term came from and Woody Flowers. And as we get further away from Woody and his time with us, and for maybe some of the mentors and certainly for the kids who are on the teams nowadays, they probably, a lot of them maybe heard about Woody, but aren't familiar with him because he passed away in 2019. But he was the heart and soul of the first organization I seen. Dean came in as the technical lead, but certainly Woody was at the heart of things. And he made sure that we embedded this into our program. And I think your presentation tonight and the people who are on the call tonight can help to keep that legacy going and help to keep first a special thing, not just a robotics program, but something that kids can take away and be better people for having been on the team. I'm a little disappointed that we don't have more teams represented here tonight, because I think this is so important. We get a lot of us pulled into the robot side, and in the midst of a hectic build season and competition and high stress and short deadlines, we don't necessarily come back to our core values. And I think that's important that we express that in the off season when things are relaxed, but also in the heat of battle when it's most important. And I encourage people on this call tonight to maybe share that if you have a moment with some of the other teams that are out there that maybe don't know of Woody, or the people on the team weren't around at that time, or maybe they're the people on the team are more interested in the robot side of things. They miss out on so much if they don't go back and ground themselves with gracious professionalism. So thank you very much on behalf of our team for putting this together tonight. And we always cheer for you guys. We love Manitoulin.
Thanks, Matt. No, I'm I can't overstate how grateful I am for 4039 and over the years. I mean, there's a connection because one of your mentors is an alumni of my school, but that's just was the beginning. That's what built a bridge, but then so many other wonderful experiences and shared, just celebrations. I wanted to just jump on Matt's point about during the whole season and trying to bring the core values, gracious professionalism, but any of the core values, and highlighting them and making that a practice in when the team meets, when it, sending out newsletters, when there's posts going out and I think that's why I like scenarios so much, because they're interactive. It creates a dialogue and it doesn't have to take long, and kids come out and hear each other, and they hear like, oh, well, this is what we would do, and this is what we would do, and then why would you do, like, and they start to hear each other, and that translates into them hearing each other when it's time to build a robot. It translates into hearing each other when the control team and the build team and the electrical team are not talking, and they start to like, oh, why is this important to you? They start to ask those same questions, and they start to use those listening and communication skills, which are, like, I think, and I'm not, it's not because I'm an English teacher, I think communication skills are known to be the most important skill in this industry, but in every industry. So yeah, John, jump in.
Yeah, just a few things that from a personal experience, I mean, we are a community team, so every year it's like we need to go and recruit more students. Unfortunately, our last 3 years we've been top heavy in grade 12s. So of course they come and then they go. So the next year, trying to sort of instill gracious profession was always a bit of a challenge initially because again, new students are coming in. Some of them have heard about first, most of them haven't. So we have to sort of go through that training period of what it's all about. And then especially the first competition, we try to really encourage, watching what they do and try to pass on as much as we can. But it's worked really well. I mean, we actually, our team got a gracious professional pin from the head ref because two of our students went to complain a call and he came back later. He said he was really impressed with how gracious, well, how courteous they were, asking questions, not really debating heavily. Their understanding. It was a really interesting dialogue, he said. But he was impressed with the fact that they accepted his judgment and why the rule was called the way it was and so on. And actually, we got a pin for that. And so that was something we hyped a lot in the next couple of weeks after that, and so on. And then I actually gave it to one of the two students that went and talked to him. She took the pin away and she wore it proudly for the rest of the season. So that's always good. And those scenarios you talked about, I was in scenario finals number 2, where we gave up our timeout. And this was a VEX competition, but still the other team had broken a chain and they couldn't fix it, and we used a timeout. Um, I will say we were pretty confident we were going to beat them anyway, but we still used the timeout to let them fix a chain on their VEX robot and so on. To go to mentors, I'm a retired teacher, so I know the whole teaching aspect and so on, but all of our other mentors are all engineers, and their approach to students and dealing with scenarios is, why aren't they getting this? They haven't dealt with a teaching perspective of teaching students a task or a skill. So they think through osmosis, and the students do get it, but eventually it's not sort of very structured. Case in point, this past season, we had a problem. So one of the mentors, very skilled engineer, decided he would go back to basic physics to teach the concept as opposed to mechanical issues. Let's go back to the physics, understand the physics before we apply it to the mechanical problem we were suffering. And so I was standing back thinking, this is kind of cool. He's like a teacher. He's doing what he's supposed to do. So it went over fairly well. The students grabbed the concepts. Okay, so if now we understand why we have to build it this way and not that way, and we'll reconfigure this and hopefully it works. So that sort of changed our thinking that, you know what, we're probably going to have to do more lesson plans this coming season, as opposed to we got a schedule. This is what we want to work on. We got our sub teams, we got our captains, we got things figured out. But we were sort of like just mentors drifting into each sub team, and that was okay. But we thought maybe we got to be more structured. And this week we're going to concentrate on this concept, and hopefully the season will then flow a little better, and we'll have a little better outcome. So yeah, so that's sort of where we're at. So it's always a bit of a challenge, but yeah, we've got 6 mentors, 2 new mentors coming on board, 2 more engineers. They approached us. That was another thing. They approached us. They saw us in Newmarket and saw us at the other competition we were at, and then said they wanted to jump on board. Great. Well, two more engineers. So we'll hopefully go. But anyway, I think the thing is just to remember to tell the kids it is a ride. The journey really is important. On a previous team I was at, it was always, we're never winning. We're never winning. And it does get to you after a while because the kids, this is a competition. You should be winning. But I always kept saying, our motto should be every year we're going to build a little better, make it look a little nicer, and hopefully with a little bit of luck, because first there's always luck in first. You sort of eke out a few wins, more wins here and there, and make it better. This past season, every event we went, we did better in our OPRs and everything else, all the stats, we did better. Made provincials, didn't do very good at provincials, but we were better than we had previously. So, but the kids are really excited, and I think you only get that appreciation of how it really affects the kid. Our head programming kid is the most laid back kid you'd ever see. But we were at Newmarket and I was standing beside him, beside the boards, and we were winning fairly really good at one event. And he's just yelling and screaming and cheering, and never seen him like this before. He's just a very reserved, laid back kid. He doesn't show much emotions. But in that one brief moment, it's like everything just sort of clicked that, yeah, what I've been doing, working on that code is working. We're scoring and we're actually winning a match. So that, it's those little moments that say, yeah, this is important. And whether or not we win or lose, and even though we didn't do as well at provincials, all the kids came back and said they had a great time. It was a great experience. And, unfortunately for those that graduated, there won't be another one, but the kids that are returning, and half our team's coming back for once, we're starting with a nice group. We should be headed off to hopefully pretty good this time around. So.
Thank you so much, John. Yeah, that's setting those goals is so important with the kids. Like what is it that's their next goal rather than winning? And that's like it happens, but it's what are you going to do how are you going to take that next step? Matt, you wanted to jump in.
Yeah, congratulations to 8349 on a great season. And John, thanks for sharing. Coming into first, rather than as a teacher, as a professional engineer, it's interesting because engineers are a lot of times trained to find the best solution, to find it quickly, and to beat the other guy. So out in industry, companies a lot of times are competing head to head against other companies. And so first is about not just for the students learning about GP, but for the mentors coming at it from their background and their point of view. And a lot of times, I think it helps to try to ground those mentors, as I think you expressed there. The important thing is not to get to the solution, which is contradictory for an engineer. We want to solve the problem, but the important thing in first is have the students improve and understand the basics and how to get to that solution themselves, so they in future can be problem solvers. So that's great that your mentor took a step back and said, wait a minute, this isn't about me and I know the answer. This is about going back to the students and helping them to figure out how to get there. So GP goes in a bunch of different directions. And one of those directions is for those engineers and people, the outsiders who haven't been involved in first, to bring them along and let them understand that this is a competition, but it's a competition in a much different way than they've been competing out in industry. So, interesting experience that you had there. And like you said, improving on the student side a little bit at a time. And on the mentor side, they're probably learning and improving as well. And with some patience and with some time, that's a great formula for success.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And I was wondering about that too, because we don't have engineers in our neck of the woods periods, but we have lots of community members that want to help parents, people who have come to competition and who are all in. They're like, what can I do to help? And so I'm wondering if anyone has any advice about how they train, or how you work to, maybe before they meet kids, um, get mentors that are from the community ready for working on the first team. Does anyone have any suggestions? Because it's something that is yeah, I'm not, it's a constant, I'm not sure what I'm doing. And I have a few more again this year that I have, like a grandmother that wants to help, and how do I get her involved, and how do I train her so that she understands uh, how, what this is about? Any advice?
I think you, speaking of someone who's kind of been through this, that was a lot of my questions. You know, where do I fit? How can I help? What can I do for the team? So asking the volunteers like kind of what their strength is. So maybe they have a background in something. Maybe it is something mechanical. Maybe they used to be a carpenter or whatever it happens to be. But there's also other aspects of it. So I found my voice was the best suited for impact and for coaching the kids through writing and judging, because that's my strength as a teacher, as a speaker, and I do a lot of public speaking. So how do you kind of find the niche of your volunteers? You know, ask them. Maybe it's something they never saw themselves doing, so they might need some encouragement. Even one of our mentors, she's on the call right now. She is a sewer and she made, and a knitter and a crocheter, and she made our costumes for our impact award. Michelle did. And that was great. Like it was something that she had this amazing skill set and it really worked to our advantage. So I think people, yes, you want to help, but you also want to help in a meaningful way where you're leaving the meeting feeling like you've contributed something and you weren't just taking up space. You may have a mentor who's really good with speaking one-on-one with the kids and helping them navigate. So we had some issues with some of our students who needed special attention for things that were going on at home. So a lot of the mentors look to me because that's kind of in my wheelhouse. So asking them, talking to them, and finding out what their passions are, what they're really good at. And some of them just might have a natural affinity for certain kids. Like I had a soft spot for our rookies because I was a rookie too. So I think it's just having that conversation where they finding out where they see themselves and how they can contribute to the team, because they might have talents they just kind of forgot about or hadn't used in like 15 years. So that's where
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a good conversation because I often think, okay, what do we need? And then see, okay, here, but I may not even realize that there's something available that they can do that I isn't even on my list, but would be a huge asset. That's awesome. Another thing that I wonder about is uh, like how, because well, if we make it visible and if we recognize it, it's going to happen more with gracious professionalism. I wonder if anyone has any success in promoting gracious professionalism through um, making it more visible on the team, like doing something to increase the visibility of core values and gracious professionalism. Anyone have any ideas for that? It just occurred to me there's probably a hashtag for gracious professionalism that our media team could be using, but I don't think we've ever used it. So maybe that's something we could start using.
My-
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, we after every event we try I don't I mean I obviously comment. We come back after an event, have our first meeting. I sort of go over the stats and how we did and you know highlight more of the positives and constructive criticism and where we have to go next. But I do try to single out a couple of students that maybe stood out in what they did. Be it in gracious professionalism, whether I saw one of the students go over and help another team or go loan a tool or something. Um, Small thing that maybe nobody else recognized, but I witnessed it anyway, whether one of the other mentors witnessed it or not. So I just try to highlight a few kids, and over this, or even during between events, if some student came up with a great CAD design or some prototype or something, I'll sort of highlight, let's go online and see what he or she did, and we'll throw it up on the screen and show it to everyone at the meeting. I think that, recognition, especially if it's a rookie that came through with something, the old sketch on a piece of paper, this was really cool. It's what they came up with. Because obviously, all the teams brainstorm, and then we go through that whole brainstorming activity of thoughts and mechanisms and whatever, and then we sort of pare down what's good, what's not good, and pros and cons of each. But I try to highlight the students, especially the students that are the introverts. I mean, every team has got students that join because their friends joined, so they joined. And so they're there, not most of their own personal interest, but mostly they're just because their friends came along. So I start to take those kids aside and say, okay, why? Yeah, we're a community team, so we have a fee. If you're going to pay the fee, okay. But it's going to cost you to be on the team. What are you trying to get out of this? The last couple of years, we've had a survey when the kids come on the team, again, because we're a community team, so I don't know these kids from whoever they are. So I want to get to know them really fast. So we had a survey, and they would fill out a whole bunch of stuff, a Google form, and so I'd read that. And then we sort of allowed them to group themselves. This year, I'm going to interview them individually instead, because I think there's a little bit more in the interaction I get between them as opposed to just reading and maybe reading between the lines about some of the kids that want to be on the team, to try to get to know why they want to be there and my own sense of how, so that may be me, and how they are on a scale between terribly introverted and terribly extroverted, and where they are in between. And therefore, what do you want to do? What do you want to do on the team? What do you want to try to accomplish from the team? How can we as adults slash mentors help you in getting to that goal? This year, I already know we have a girl that's going to join the team who's on DECA, and we need as much help on our business team as anybody else. And she's going to join the team because she wants to diversify her resume. Apparently, she comes highly qualified from the business teacher, from a business teacher, and so that's great. I haven't had a chance to meet her yet, but if I can take that interest she has to try to say how her skill set and use that to benefit our team as well. So just to go back to your previous question about getting more mentors and so on, we do a presentation to the community when we first engage people to join the team. And when it comes to how can you help, directed to the adults and the parents in the room, it's like we have this long list of things we need done. We as the mentors on the team will do this, but there's a whole bunch of these other tasks that if somebody else could do it, like arrange meals, transportation, search out these parts, things that are just not difficult, but just time consuming. If someone can, get wood from Home Depot so we don't have to truck it, if they could just get it, bring it to us, we'll pay for it, obviously. Something like that. So it's and so if you just brainstorm every possible little thing, that's organizing, lists of tools to take and, box and storage bins and stuff, and getting a list of those, and just say, you could help by just bringing these, transporting these, or, whatever. Then they can help without being there in person. The mentors that are more dedicated and they bring their time and they come in, that's one thing. But if you can just say, as a parent, if you could just do this little thing for us, that would be helpful. Just one of the thousands of things we have to do. You can just do that couple of small things. That just makes our life a little easier in those months from January to hopefully May, when we're really busy. So there's a suggestion.
That's a good suggestion. Thank you. Matt, we're okay still, William? Matt's got something else to add. Is that okay for time?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Matt. Thanks.
Yeah, just following up, you asked about GP, gracious professionalism, and how you encourage that and highlight that. Yeah, I think as Woody said, you get what you celebrate. Maybe Dean said that, but celebrate those things. So one of the things we do at beginning of our pick list meeting is before we get into the data, we pause and say, have the kids reflect on how the day went and ask them for examples of something that was really amazing that happened during the day and something that was heartbreaking that happened during the day at the competition. And also an example of gracious professionalism. And during the debrief, as John mentioned, celebrate as much the opportunities that you had for gracious professionalism at the event as you did points or wins or anything like that. We had this year, one of our proudest accomplishments was these little GP pins. Some of the members of our team were recipients of those, and we would spend time at the meetings talking about how that was accomplished and what it meant to them. At the competitions, to make it fun, a suggestion is try to be the team when the announcer comes on and says, Team XYZ needs a battery, or somebody needs a bolt or something. Try to be the first ones there, because you guys know at first competitions, there'll be multiple teams that show up. Try to be the first ones there. Make it a friendly little competition about who can get there first. There's the Waffles 4476 who actually keep track in their pits of all the things that they've given out at that competition. And then I'm sure they use that after the event to go back and kind of reflect on the impact that they had on the other teams that were there, because you'll forget that in the heat of the moment. So just some kind of ideas about ways to celebrate gracious professionalism and make it fun.
Yeah, I like that. I like the idea of like some data gathering up. Here's all the teams that we affected in small, with this bolt or with that tool. That's awesome. Well, if there's nothing else, I think we're good.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining us. It's Saturday, or not Saturday. What is today? Tuesday, last day of the week. It's Tuesday in a beautiful summer day, and I appreciate you giving up some time to listen to me and share with me. And I look forward to seeing you guys again.
Most appreciated, Yana, and to all the other mentors who joined us this evening. And thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing you all very soon somewhere. And yeah, have a great evening.
If anyone, I posted